outside of Massachusetts. And we volunteered giving tours to tourists, people from foreign countries or from across the country who just wanted to know more about the history of our state and the local government. And so we got to show them around the building, and as well as, meeting a bunch of interesting people, I learned so much about the history of our state and our current government. And it was really interesting for me to be sort of at the center of that.
That's wonderful. So thank you for volunteering. What tour guides often don't realize is that those experiences have such big impact on people. They take away the lessons that you're sharing, and they take away so much of your lens. So thank you for doing that. We're just super honored to have you with us tonight, and we're delighted that you're one of our winners. We hope you attend our meetings again and invite your friends. And we hope you have a wonderful year at Boston Latin.
Thank you.
We really hope we see more of you. Congratulations.
Thank
Can we
you.
all give our third recipient a big round? Big loud round.
Thank you all.
You bet. Feel free to stay on for the meeting.
Okay.
And I understand you probably have an evening's worth of homework, but that's up to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good night.
Awesome. So I will do our speakers. First, I'll do them in kind of numerical order for the questions, and then we'll have kind of the committee business, after. As I noted, if you're experiencing difficulties with the audio, when joining virtually, just let me know. But I know that for the question 2, folks, several of you wanted to be spotlighted at the same time, so I can do that. If you can just all kind of raise your hand with whatever function that you can, I'll spotlight you.
I could raise my hand on the thing. I don't know how to do it. Dr. Patricia Brown.
Or anyone else?
Yes, Dr. Patricia Brown.
Okay.
And I think we should have Patricia just activate her microphone.
Let me think.
Beautiful. May I begin?
Should be unmuted. It's just 3 of you, correct?
I'm sorry, John, I couldn't understand.
I'm sorry, I was saying the 3 of you, correct?
Yes.
Okay, great. As I noted, we'll have 15 minutes total for this. That's divided between a speaking program as well as at least 5 minutes for questions. So I'll hand it over to you if you want to just do a round of introductions to yourselves first, and then talk a little bit more about question 2.
Sure. My name is Dr. Andrew Chase. I'm an orthodontist, and I'm the past president of the Massachusetts Association of Orthodontics. With me, I have Dr. Patricia Brown, who has also been an orthodontist for over 50 years in Ward 5 as your neighbor. She has a master's degree in public health. And we have Dr. Moab Riskala, an orthodontist and chairman of the ballot committee, who will be providing documentation as needed for today's meeting conversation. Today, we want to focus on the arguments for and against the ballot question. These arguments have been published by the Secretary of State in the voter information guide known as the Red Book. Dr. Brown is the author of the in favor Red Book argument, and she will read that. Every statement in her Red Book argument is verifiable, and Dr. Riskala will provide the backup resources should anybody want to fact check us. It is verifiably true. After Dr. Brown reads the in favor argument, I will read our opponent's opposed argument. I will then dissect every line of our opponent's Red Book argument and show you how every single line is verifiably false. I hope that you enjoyed today's presentation. And with that, Dr. Brown, please proceed reading question 2 in favor argument, which you authored.
Hi, I'm Dr. Patricia Brown. As Dr. Chase described, I have lived and practiced orthodontics in Ward 5 for over 50 years. With a master's degree in public health, I'm particularly pleased to have the opportunity to present you my arguments for why everyone should vote yes on question 2. A yes vote expands consumer protection laws that already exist for medical insurance companies to dental insurance companies. A yes vote ensures better coverage and value for patients instead of unreasonable corporate waste. For example, according to Delta Dental's own 2019 IRS Form 990, Delta Dental of Massachusetts alone paid executive bonuses, commissions, and payments to affiliates of $382 million, while only spending $177 million for patient care. A yes vote would eliminate this inequity. Similarly, similar to medical insurance, this law would require dental insurance companies to allocate at least 83% of the paid premiums to patients' care, or refund the premium to patients to meet this standard. Insurance companies will try to confuse voters by saying that dental insurance premium will increase. This is false because Section 2D of the law specifically disallows increases above the consumer price index without state approval. Stop the corporate waste. Vote yes for fair dental insurance. Thank you. Any questions?
We can do a kind of a full set of questions. We can do full questions at the end after you all speak.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Brown. Dr. Escala, would you please bring up the general breakdown of wastefulness that Dr. Brown described by Delta Dental, the largest dental insurer in the state?
Yes, I will need to share my screen in order to do
Yeah,
that.
I'll make you a co-host.
Perhaps the most egregious area to show you is on their Form 990 is what you see on the screen right now, which is the contribution of investments. They literally made a contribution in the amount of $291 million to their mother company, Catalyst Institute. That's the same year in that they only spent $177 million for patient care. There are many other things that I could show you on their Form 990, but just to show you the excerpts that everything we are saying here is fully verifiable. For this year, benefits paid 2 or 4 members, $177 million. And then what I just showed you a moment ago is that same year they gave away, literally, this is not an expense, it's a giveaway of $291 million to their mother company. I'll leave that to you, Drew. Let me know if you want me to pull anything else up.
Sure. Thank you. As you can see, Delta Dental spent $177 million to support patients, but the $364 million that they spent on commissions, payments to affiliates, and an outrageous $291 million as a contribution to their mother company. While doing so, they paid absolutely no taxes because they are a not-for-profit company.
I have that on the screen. Federal income tax, 0.
$0 paid. This is not-for-profit games at its worst, and it's cheating patients. Your money they're taking. Now, let me turn to the opposed argument. I'll tell you that every single line that I'm about to read is verifiably false, and I'll take the time to break it down for you after I read the argument.
If you could pause there, Drew, I'm going to bring that up on the screen so that they can read that with you.
Sure.
This on the screen is what Dr. Brown had just read, that is in the voter information guide known as the Red Book. And Dr. Chase is now reading the opposed argument.
This question will increase costs for Massachusetts families and employers. A 38% premium increase in one recent independent study, and could result in thousands of people losing access to dental care. With consumer prices soaring, excuse me, we don't need a new regulation that will increase costs and decrease choice. There is no law like this on the ballot question anywhere in the nation. The Massachusetts legislature actually repealed a similar law in 2011 because it proved overly burdensome and provided no real benefit for consumers. Federal lawmakers excluded it from Obamacare, and a special commission in Massachusetts reviewed and rejected a similar provision. Further, the state already requires reporting from dental plans. Here, I will invalidate the 8 points in the against argument point by point. First, this question will increase costs for Massachusetts families and employers, a 38% premium increase in one recent independent study. The study referenced is not independent. It was paid for by the insurance companies, and the report itself states, in performing this analysis, we relied on data and other information provided by the National Association of Dental Plans. We have not audited or verified this data. If the underlying data or information is inaccurate, our analyses may become likewise inaccurate or incomplete. It is important to note that the results will differ if starting assumptions differ. For example, if commissions are altered in response to an increased loss ratio requirement. If insurers are not permitted to adjust premiums due to the provisions in Section D of the initiative petition, then scenario 3 would not be possible. That scenario was, in fact, increasing the premiums. Therefore, the insurance company starts their against argument with a blatant deception and expects voters to be fooled by their non-independent study that actually points out that premiums are not permitted to rise.
Drew, if I could pause you just right there. So I'm going to bring up that report to show them that exact document. This is that report, and this is what Dr. Chase had just read. And what it says here on the screen is, we relied on data, as he said, we relied on data and other information provided by NADP. We have not audited or verified this data. If the underlying data or information is accurate, our analysis will likewise be accurate or incomplete. If you go to the top of that page, this information, it may not be appropriate and should not be used for any other purpose. It has been prepared solely for the internal business use of, and is only to be relied on by the management of the NADP, the National Association of Dental Plans. And they made these caveats because of the fact that they did not verify data. It was not meant for public consumption. And yet it's in the published voter guide going to every voter household in this state. Thank you, Drew. I'll get back to you.
Okay. 2, and could result in thousands of people losing access to dental care. The study did not say that, and there is no basis in fact for this opinion statement.
And then just quickly, for the sake of time, you can take like 1 more minute of this presentation, and then I want to go to questions.
With consumer prices soaring, we don't need a new regulation that will increase costs and decrease choice. This is a pure opinion statement. We know now that redirecting hundreds of millions of dollars in corporate waste towards patient care will decrease their out-of-pocket costs and increase their choice. There is no law like it on the ballot question anywhere in the nation. It is partially true. Every state in the nation has a law for health insurance, but not every state has it for dental insurance. We considered this a reason to vote yes. Massachusetts is a bellwether state and has historically led the nation in healthcare. Voting yes in Massachusetts will affect hundreds of millions of lives across the nation. Point 5. The Massachusetts legislature actually repealed a similar law in 2011 because it proved overly burdensome and provided no real benefit for consumers. This statement is false in 2 ways. The legislature repealed the law requiring medical insurers to continue providing annual revenue and expense data. They didn't repeal a medical loss ratio. And 2, data reported was discontinued after sufficient data was gathered, meaning it was no longer necessary. This has no bearing on requiring data reporting for dental insurance plans, since there is insufficient data at this time for dental MLRs. Again, their statement is false and intentionally misrepresented. 6, federal lawmakers excluded it from Obamacare. It is true that it was not included, but it is an overstatement to say it was excluded. 7, a special commission in Massachusetts reviewed and rejected a similar provision. This is false. On page 6 of the December 31st, 2014 report to the Special Commission on Dental Insurance stated, while at this time, the commission would not recommend setting a minimum loss ratio for dental insurance, the commission does recommend that legislature authorizes the Division of Insurance to collect data on an annual loss ratios for dental carriers for all insured business. Clearly, the report language referenced that it did not reject the data collection, which dental ballot requires. It actually recommended data collection. The report also did not reject setting minimum loss ratios. It did not recommend setting the ratio at this time, which was in 2014. They did not say that we do not recommend it for 2022 and beyond. In fact, the commission's very language presupposes that there will be a time that it is recommended, and we believe that time is now. 8, further, the state already requires.
Just because, since we do have a few different speakers, I need to pause you there, but I'm going to invite people to ask kind of any questions that they might have. So I'm going to put you on speaker view, take you off spotlight so that we can see whoever is asking a question. If you do have a question, feel free to raise your hand physically, raise your hand with the hand raise function, or drop your question in the chat.
Carol, I see Carol has a hand up.
Yeah, thank you, 3 of you, so much for the depth of this presentation this evening. It's just like, I feel privileged to hear it. Can you just share with us the exact wording of the ballot measure? How will it appear to voters in November? How does it read?
So let me take that on. The ballot measure is a law. It is about 15 paragraphs. So the title, it has a title, it has a summary, it has many parts. And if you were to look at the Red Book, the Red Book Voter Information Guide, you would find the title is Dental Insurance Regulation. Okay. And then it has many sort of subcomponents for how much more do you want to read. There are short paragraphs, et cetera, et cetera. But to get to the heart of it, I would encourage everyone to go to fairdentalinsurance.org. Fairdentalinsurance.org really breaks down all of the details that we're describing and gives you links to go to the ballot measure on the Secretary of State website.
Obviously, the reason that I'm asking the question is because you imagine somebody with a few minutes to vote who perhaps doesn't know the depth of this argument. And, fair dental insurance sounds great. And if there are multiple components of that, clarity is just so urgent.
I have to tell you, I think you make a great point. How do you get people to know what to choose, is
Yeah.
really your point, in such a short period of time. And I can assure you, sadly, there are going to be people who make the wrong decision because they don't know what they're voting. They don't know what they're doing in their vote. And we know this is going to happen because dental insurance companies are very good at confusing. If you have any insurance company, it's very good at confusing, right? But dental insurance companies, because they're really the only unregulated insurer today, they have freedom to say whatever they want to say, which is what Dr. Chase was showing you in terms of where our argument is completely verifiable and theirs is completely verifiably false. So, so our message really, the reason we're here today is because we believe that our communication to you is going to have an exponential impact, where everyone that we're speaking to today, I believe there are 21 people in this meeting, three of them are us. So there are 18 of you that we are relying on to share truth. We're just here to educate. That's all we're here to do. And if everyone who hears this can spread that to a handful of people and so on and so forth, we believe not only is Massachusetts voting to serve the state residents, we believe it's going to change the country. And dental health care is going to all of a sudden become so accessible for patients who are already paying for it, as a matter of fact. They're just not getting their value.
It's a shift of the money that you pay from their pockets to your mouth. And that, I think, is the message to bring home to everybody else. Janet, you had a question. I see your hand is up.
Yes, I see that the AD, the Massachusetts Dental Society, supports and urges of yes vote. And I wondered what other organizations and individuals support the bill, and who are and what are the organizations that are opposing it. But I think it's really interesting that the ADA supports it.
Great question and great point, Janet. Mo, do you have the list in front of you? Because the list grows every day.
The list is growing every day. Let me start at the top. The American Dental Association supports this. The American Academy of Pediatric Dentists supports this. The Massachusetts Dental Society, the Alliance of Independent Dentists, the Massachusetts Association of Orthodontists, the Medicaid Orthodontists of Massachusetts Association, the Massachusetts Society of Oral and Maxillofacial Surgeons, the Massachusetts Academy of Pediatric Dentists, the Massachusetts Association of Endodontists, the Massachusetts Nurses Association. I mean, I could just go on and on and on. This is healthcare equity, and anyone who is invested in healthcare equity, this is a no-brainer.
And Dr. Brown, how would you answer that question?
Everybody that I have spoken to immediately understands how important this is to dental care. My background is public health. I was dental director for Whittier Street Health Center for 10 years. I flew to the Dutch Antilles Islands, treated patients for 37 years while I maintained my practice here. I am 100% for this. And I think one thing we have to bear in mind, the first thing that the insurance companies come out with is this fantastic increase in premium. But like I said, Section 2D of the law specifically disallows these increases past the consumer index. So they just lie. And the reason I've done this, I don't even accept insurance in my office. Patients pay me, and then I have the money sent directly to patients. But what I found out is that the insurance companies were denying so much care that it's really not fair to the patients. And that's why I'm on board for this, even though it will never impact me directly financially, as it might some offices, because I don't participate in these insurance plans. But I do participate in seeing that patients lead healthy, productive lives. So that's why I'm doing this.
Thank you.
let me have you both ask your questions and then pass it to them, and then we'll go on to the next speaker.
I'm just wanting to follow up on that question about who is against it.
And then Stephanie.
Thanks. Also, as a public health focused person, the most important coverage is universal. Short of that, and referring back to the ACA as you did a bit, and looking at the ACA covering 30 million more people, which isn't nearly enough, but it is 30 million more. You projected how many, I guess is it the other side projected, a falsehood about coverage. But what's your projection of how many more people will have access to dental care, which is, a key public health objective, especially looking at the links to nutrition and many other health aspects?
If I could field some of those questions. The first question was, who are the opponents? The opponents are dental insurance CEOs. Okay, they're dental insurance, executive dental insurance. No one has endorsed the no side. Okay, no one. To get to your additional question, which is basically a measurement question, we don't have figures to give you on this, but what we can say is that currently 50% of the US population, and that also applies in Massachusetts, 50% of the Massachusetts population statistically has dental insurance. Now, the percentage that doesn't have dental insurance can get dental insurance if they want to, as long as they feel that there is value. But many times they do not select it because it doesn't give you value. They may be break even, maybe a little bit higher, maybe a little bit lower some years. But for the majority of people, there is no value. But now to get to the very heart of your question and actually ask a different question that I think will get to your point. Today, if you are a large employer or even a small employer, and you're trying to provide dental insurance for your staff as employees, you're going to typically simply renew your dental insurance policy from last year because you don't really know what it is. And you're saying, I want to give them a dental insurance plan. This law not only establishes an 83% requirement of patient premium payments being spent on patients, on actual care, but it also does something else very powerful, which gets to your point. It requires a robust data reporting that requires every dental insurance company to provide data on their spending. It's so robust that they can't sneak numbers around. And what this accomplishes is it will provide buyers of insurance as employers the ability to actually detect value. So the medical loss ratio is a ratio of how much is spent on the patient versus how much did they collect in total. When the medical loss ratio value is something that's transparent and you can see it from one company, say Delta Dental or Blue Cross Blue Shield or some other Guardian or whatever, and you're saying, well, they want to charge me this much and I'm going to get that percentage back, or they're going to charge me this much and they're going to get that percentage back. When all of a sudden value becomes transparent, the consumer behavior becomes powerful. Your negotiating ability becomes powerful, and you can ensure something so special, which is the best bang for your buck for your employee. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you. And since we do have other speakers, I'm going to wrap up the presentation for question 2, but I want to thank the 3 speakers who joined us for the Yes on Question 2 campaign. If I can get a kind of a round of applause.
All right, I can't understand what you're saying. Could you please? I think it's important what you're saying. Thank you, but I can't get any of it, please.
Hear me?
Thank you.
I think he was, Patricia, I think he was thanking us. That's all.
Oh, he was thanking.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you all, and have a wonderful evening. I want to now hand over the microphone to our speaker for question 3.
Thank you.
So stand wherever you want, just make sure that the mic is close to you.
Okay, bring the mic close.
Yeah.
The camera can stay where it wants, so nothing flattering going on here. Okay. Let's walk this way. upon my back. Good evening. My name is Ben Weiner, and my family and I have been in the retail alcohol package business since 1961. We now have my grandson employed as we enter our fourth generation of working in the Save More Spirit stores in the greater Boston area. I thank the Boston Board for Democratic Committee for the opportunity to discuss question 3. In 2019, Cumberland Farms proposed a complex ballot question which would have effectively and completely changed the entire retail alcohol licensing capping system and many other facets of my business. Cumberland Farms is now a foreign-owned company, and its effort was also supported by national grocers and the convenience stores. This ballot question did not make the certification due to a lack of signatures in the second phase of the process. In 2020, Cumberland Farms was on the record stating they would be back in 2022 with another attempt. I am a member of the Massachusetts Package Stores Association, also known as MassPack, and have served as president 2 terms. MassPack represents the small, local, and independent business people of Massachusetts who are in the retail alcohol beverage industry. Upon seeing another imminent attack by Cumberland Farms to the regulation guidelines and the way we make a living, it was voted to present our own ballot question in a manner which itself was a reasonable compromise to the demands of large companies, corporate interests, seeking the right to own more than 9 licenses. The current license cap now in Massachusetts is 9. It's gone up to 9 this past year. We, the retailers, have responded to the perceived public desire for more convenience and have done it by taking into account public safety. I will now move into the question itself and what the question 3 will do. The ballot question modernizes Massachusetts laws to allow for the safe expansion of alcohol licenses. It calls for the state to progressively double the number of allowed beer and wine licenses a company or an individual is allowed to hold, going from 9 to 18. Most states only allow 3 to 5 full liquor licenses per merchant, and Mass's number would be set at 7. Question 3 significantly expands consumer convenience. The ballot question also will allow valid out-of-state IDs to be relied upon by a retailer of alcohol beverages, as they are allowed in every other state in the country and are already permitted in Massachusetts for the sale of cannabis. The ballot question also provides a few best practice fixes to the current system that prevent and deter alcohol sales to minors. It prohibits self-checkout of alcohol that never should be permitted and changes the basis for the fines for selling to a minor so that they have an increased deterrence value for preventing illegal sales. Question 3 will appear on the ballot with the title, Changes to Alcohol Retail Licensing Initiative. Legally named the 21st Century Alcohol Retail Reform Committee, the committee will now refer to itself as Yes on 3 now that the ballot question numbers have been assigned. Its members include many members of MassPack, as well as others involved in responsible retail alcohol sales throughout Massachusetts. We're in the process now of getting our website up to snuff, and you can visit yeson3mass.com. Excuse me, yeson3mass.com, probably by the end of the week. Thank you for your time and attention. I happen to have the voter information sheet, and I can't help but, as the gentleman and lady were presenting the facts on their rather extensive bill, I was impressed by how concise our bill is by a bunch of retailers. We're your package store people. We're the guy down the street. And this is our summary, just one little page when you get a chance to look at it. And even the text of the law goes from the bottom of this page to the top of that page, and it's very clear once you figure out what section is what section. But that's what the law does, the question. So I got a question to ask everybody here. Do you perceive that by increasing the number of licenses to 18, so that grocery stores can buy existing licenses, wouldn't that hurt the small retailer? And the answer is yes. We actually proposed a bill that's going to hurt us business-wise for the short term. But we felt that the premium should be gained by disallowing companies like Cumberland Farms trying to blow up the system and making it the Wild West of the East for everybody owning a alcohol license to sell beer and wine was a far worse alternative than losing a few dollars to the grocers. And by remaining the 7 license limit for the spirits, we would be able to survive under those conditions. So yes, it may be the least self-serving ballot question you may ever see in your lifetime, where the people that are proposing it are the ones that are going to feel the most impact, because we'll be giving up something. But we'll get my son and my nephew's future stabilized. And take some questions if there are any questions out there.
Awesome. So I will take first of all, let's have a round of applause for the presentation.
Thank you.
I will take us off spotlight here, so that if you have a question, feel free to physically raise your hand, take yourself off mute, or use the hand raise function.
I'm afraid I don't understand this at all. Why increasing the limit doesn't benefit Cumberland Farms that wants more stores to sell? I somehow don't understand this law at all.
What we did was a compromise. We said, you can't have 2,000 new stores or 200 new stores. We said we would let you get 9 more stores. So we are proposing a compromise. We're saying, okay, you want more stores, you can have it, but safely and under the conditions that make sense. We don't want to, Massachusetts voters turned down in 2006, if everyone remembers, the ballot question then that would have created a new license that anybody could have had to sell wine as long as you sold food. It was totally vague, and it took a huge effort by the liquor industry to stop it, because it would have just made everybody who sold potato chips accessible to be able to sell beer and wine. So what this is saying, Cumberland Farms, don't be so greedy. This is our market basket, our Shaw's. Don't be greedy. We're giving you something that the public would like to have, but not in the manner that you think it's best for the industry. We're the retailers. We're the ones that service the public. We're the people that you see in your community. And we're the ones that say no to the kids from buying, because we look at every ID, we look face to face. Nobody's running over there to check to see if somebody didn't scan a bottle of vodka or whatever, or wine. So that's why it probably doesn't make sense to a lot of people, because we're the ones being hurt, but we're looking out. We're trying to stabilize an industry that is under tremendous pressure from outside corporate interests that are looking to change the way that liquor is and beer and wine is sold in Massachusetts.
Jane, any follow-up? Anybody else?
But what does the law now, the law now would allow for fewer licenses, so I don't understand what the issue is. Why not keep the existing law and have fewer licenses for them?
The public opinion, if you remember last year, 2 years ago with Cumberland Farms, they had run this ballot question that would have allowed Cumberland Farms to own 200 licenses. And the first round of signatures was successful. So that told us that the public is looking to be able to get more convenience. And frankly, we said, okay, we'll give them more convenience, but it should be done in an orderly manner. And we're willing to give up some business for the next 6 years, and that's when they can come back again with another ballot question in 6 years, and I expect they will. But at least there's some stability in the industry. And I think when people read the question, and you'll be seeing at your local package store signs, vote yes on question 3. And there's a little a primer that will tell you exactly what the bill will do. This isn't a bill that has a lot of corners and people can't understand. 4 points to the bill. Let me go over them with you. First one is the licensing. That we explained would be gradually increased from 9 to 18 licenses per corporation, such as Stop and Shop or Shaw's or Market Basket. Of those 18 licenses, 7 can be full spirits. And that could be me. It could be Stop and Shop. That's the rules. Everybody plays by the same rules. So that's the first part of the bill. The second part, it would allow for us to take out-of-state driver's licenses. Right now, if I sell to a person from Tufts University or BC, BU, and they come in with the New York driver's license or Chicago driver's license, I would say that's not proof enough, according to Massachusetts law. And if they produce a student ID, looks valid and whatever, then we might consider selling to them. But if we're wrong, we can be closed for a number of days or pay a fine. Every other state in the country allows that request for an out-of-state driver's license to be sufficient proof that we did our job and that we looked at it and made sure that the person presenting it looked like the person that is on the ID. So that's I just found out 3 days ago that to buy cannabis in Massachusetts, you don't need a passport, a Massachusetts driver's license, a current active federal card in the service. This is what we're allowed to take in Massachusetts. Cannabis, you show a New Hampshire driver's license, you're all set. So that doesn't make any sense. So that was another part of the ballot question. The third part and fourth kind of deal with the situation you go into a grocery store. Grocery business is now a lot of self-service checkout. Sure. And that's wonderful for when you're checking out with your groceries. But if you're checking out with alcohol, if the person somehow doesn't scan the bottle, nobody's going to check their ID. Sure. Nobody comes to my liquor store and I don't check their face in their ID. If this guy here, I might have to ask for an ID, but Anyway, we don't have self-service checkout at a liquor store. Doesn't make sense. Even in the grocery stores, they have cigarettes behind the counter. They have lottery behind the counter. Lottery, you have to be 18. Cigarettes, you have to be 21. So by controlling those products, they've already taken on the responsibility for asking for IDs. To lessen that responsibility at the checkout line where there's beer, wine going out, does not seem wise. So we said, you can't have self-service for checking out alcohol beverages. And the last,
Yeah, finish what you're saying, and I was gonna call for the next question.
okay. And then the fourth point is in regards when somebody breaks the law, when we get caught selling to a minor. When a liquor store gets caught selling to a minor, we're closed. Most liquor stores are 95% alcohol sales. And then we have miscellaneous bottle soda, whatever. So we're closed. If Wegmans sells to a minor, they just close up their liquor department. Or they pay a fine based upon their sales, their alcohol sales. But that's, it's like fining a baseball player $1,000. It's meaningless. So we said, if you're going to be responsible and sell alcohol beverages, you have to play by the same rules everybody else is. And that means total sales will determine how much the fine would be in lieu of a suspension. That's it. I think it's pretty simple question to get a hold of. I don't have a list of endorsements because people really don't know about this very much. And I'm glad to have the chance to talk to all these nice looking people out there.
So I'm gonna take Andrew and Margaret, your questions together for Ben, and then we'll move on to the next speaker after he answers. So Andrew?
Yeah, my question is, would a vote no maintain the status quo as it relates to the licensing structure currently on the books?
Yes, that's a matter of fact, that's the summary.
And then my follow-up to that is, can you explain how, if we are concerned about expanding corporate interest in the alcohol space, how increasing the maximum number of licenses available accomplishes that? It seems like there's a bit of a disconnect.
So, and then here you go, Margaret, your question as well.
Yeah.
Margaret, you need to unmute.
Sorry, the little I know about this, or I've read about this or heard about this, is this was a compromise between, as you said, the Wild West, which was open it all up, have hundreds and hundreds more of these, or keep it as it is. And there's an inclination and a strong lobby with money behind it to make it the Wild West. So this was a sort of way to stop it from being the Wild West, but open it up some. And that's why this is on the ballot, to stop it from being the Wild West, because that has been the push. And that's why liquor stores are really supporting this against their own interests.
Can I hire you?
I have a
That's
very high compensation, but sure.
That is the exact irony in this whole thing, is that, yes, we are giving them some of the bone that they're seeking in the hopes that they'll go away, because, and being successful in getting it on the ballot question itself acts as according to Massachusetts law, that you can't have the same ballot question within 6 years. So we're hopeful that we'll pass this. We'll talk to you again, and I'll be here in 6 years again, except probably saying, don't vote for that, but vote for question 3. And I'm going to leave some flyers here that goes over and explains better than I can the position that we're in. And thank you all for your time. I really appreciate it.
Awesome, thank you. Let's get a round of applause for our speaker, and I'll then spotlight our speaker for questions first. So, you'll get a spotlight. Okay.
Wait, did you call on me, Jonathan? Because I didn't.
Yeah. You're on spotlight.
Oh, okay.
You're up. And I think I noted earlier in this meeting, our committee has already formally endorsed the Work and Family Mobility Act. And so by virtue of that, we are supporting yes on question 3, but wanted to have you speak to us tonight more about the campaign, where everything stands and what the next kind of month and a half leading up to Election Day looks like.
Great. Thank you for having me, everyone. Thank you, Jonathan, for inviting me. I know it's late, so I'll try to keep it as short as possible. Thank you for supporting the Work and Family Mobility Act. My name is Dali Dahasha, and I go by she, her pronouns. I am originally from Cape Verde, and I like to always lead with that because as an immigrant, this is extremely important to me. And I am a formerly undocumented immigrant, still have family members who are undocumented. And I was formerly the co-chair of the coalition. Previously, I was the political director for SCIE 32BJ, and I was just extremely blessed to work for an organization who really gave me the support to really work on this campaign and bring the coalition together. So along with Natalicia Tracy, I was the co-chair of the legislation, and now, unfortunately, we have to fight on the ballot. So I know you know the history already of the Work and Family Mobility Act, so I won't bore you with that. What I will say is that after doing polling for, right after we found out that opposition was collecting signature and there was a chance that this could be a ballot question, we did some polling, and the messaging that is resonating with voters is the road safety message. Unfortunately, if election was to happen today, I'm not sure we would win because we are neck to neck. When it comes to polling, it's telling us that we are neck to neck before they hear the positive message on road safety. And after they hear the message, they are leaning towards us and supporting us. So we are asking everyone who is willing to support the campaign, the Yes on 4 ballot question, to really, focus on the safety piece. That is why we call the Yes on 4 for safer roads. Focus on the safety piece because we are not trying to change folks' views on immigration. There is no sense in getting into conversation with folks and whether it's the right way, the wrong way. If it's a federal issue, a state issue, we just need to really focus on making sure people understand that first, we have the support of law enforcement, and 2, that this bill is about safety, to make sure that all of us that get on the road, everyone who lives in Massachusetts, have the opportunity to get tested, to get insured before they get on the road, to make sure that all of us are safe. So because opposition collected signatures and the signatures were not certified until September 9th, we had to pivot to a ballot campaign, which means we have limited amount of time, limited amount of resources to try to make sure that we uphold the law. That is another thing that we must remember, is that the legislature passed this law in June 2022. So we are trying to uphold the law, as 16 other states have passed this law, and Massachusetts is the first state bringing this to the ballot to try to repeal it. So we have limited amount of time, limited amount of resources, and 7 weeks to make sure that we are able to uphold this law. We continue to count with the support of law enforcement, which includes Attorney General Maura Healey. We have majority of sheriffs, majority of district attorneys on as supporters. And what we are asking folks to do is, if you can launch a canvas for Yes on 4, we would truly appreciate it. If you can join our phone banks, we are launching phone banks every Thursday from 5 to 7, starting this Thursday. And you are welcome to join us. Or if you feel like you want to host your own phone bank, you can do that. I just ask folks to get in contact with me so we can provide the turf if you're canvassing and the list for calls. We are also asking if folks can donate to make sure that we are able to reach voters through the media, paid media, because we didn't make it into the Red Book. I call it the Red Book. I don't know what's the appropriate name for it, but we didn't make it into the Red Book because signatures were certified after the book was printed. Therefore, voters do not know that this question is coming, is going to be on their ballot, and we need to do everything that we can to make sure that we reach voters. As Senator Ed Markey would say, all gas, no brake until November 8th. So I am going to stop there to see if there are any questions. I think I covered most of everything.
Yeah, and one quick thing, I'll take you off spotlight in 1 second so we can have questions. I remember on the call, the coalition call earlier today, I believe it was Crescida noted that it's on the other side of that people have to flip their ballot over for question 4 as well.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
I think this reporters of the Massachusetts is definitely gonna
I think Janet has a question.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your presentation, and thank you for all your work on this issue. I think it's such an important one. And you made the point, but I just wanted to reinforce it that 16 states have already passed this, including Nevada and Utah. I mean, there are some red states in there, and they see it as a safety issue. This is, as you said, really not a red-blue issue. This is a safety issue, and that's the best way to present it to voters.
Yes, correct.
Any other questions that folks have? Yeah.
I'll ask a question. So I'm totally for the bill. If I'm explaining this to someone, which I have tried to do in the past, and they say, well, why are these people here at all? Do you have a response for me?
White supremacy, colonialism, and all the isms that have, what folks refer as third world countries suffering, not having enough. So folks are fleeing terrible situations, violence, and exploitation. And like I said, it's not, I don't think it's a good idea to try to go have a conversation with folks and try to really go into their views on immigration, whether people are doing it the right way or the wrong way. At the end of the day, this is a big issue. This is something that if we really want to talk about it, let's make space to talk about it. But this is about safety, and we want to focus on that. Folks are here for various reasons, and we can't ignore that they are our neighbors. And since they are here, let's make sure that we can ensure that everyone is safe on the road by allowing residents, regardless of immigration status, to be able to apply for a driver's license.
Yeah, no, I think Stella, I think it's kind of an excellent point, because at the end of the day, what's the difference between the world in which this bill is law and the world in which is not that you have, it does not change that suddenly people who don't without status suddenly start driving the law. It's that people who may already be driving but don't have status, would be tested, would be insured, and would have and that you have enriched as noted the road safety, and the kind of the positive benefits that can have, both in terms of safety, in terms of the economic benefits, both for society at large and for the individual themselves, is what the ultimate difference between the world in which we have it and the world kind of which we don't, rather than Massachusetts can't change immigration law. We might have better immigration law. Massachusetts can change immigration law. Although, depending on Massachusetts isn't always as great as I'd like us to be on that. But yeah, any other questions that folks have?
Jane has a question.
Yes, the question that I heard raised, I'm certainly in support of it, but the question I heard raised is that people will use their driver's license to register to vote. How should one answer that?
Great question, because yes, from the very moment we decided to file this legislation, that has been sort of like the number one question. And when you are asked that question, the best way to answer it, and grant you, I'm not a legal expert, but this is what is the reality of it, is that the RMV already has safeguards in place to ensure that folks who have status but are not a U.S. citizens don't register to vote, right? So when you go apply for a driver's license, if you a green card holder, which folks call it green card holder, resident alien is the terminology for, a DACA recipient, a TPS recipient, or if you have any other legal status but is not a U.S. citizen, you can obtain a driver's license. So that RMV already has the system for that, and it will be the same system that will be used in this case. We're not creating extra work. If you go register to vote, you're not a citizen, there's a question, are you a U.S. citizen? If you answer no, it directs you to a different path than the one that you would answer yes. And then the next question would be, are you registered to vote? Do you want to register to vote? And sort of it puts you down that path. And believe it or not, non-citizens all know, that is a criminal act if you are a non-citizen and you try to register to vote. And believe me, we have a hard time trying to engage immigrant citizens to vote, never mind non-citizens. And
it's not even if you try to vote, if you lie.
Yes.
On that registering to get a driver's license, it's a crime.
It's a crime, correct.
And that's enough to get you deported. People are not that stupid.
Exactly.
Just to get registered, just to get a driver's license. So,
Mhm.
and as you say, we're dying to get people to vote.
Yes.
People are always worried about.
Yeah, that's very helpful.
Yeah.
Thank you for the question.
Awesome. Any other questions that folks have? Questions going once. Okay. Well, can I get a round of applause for Dalida?
Thank you for having me.
And then Dalida, could you drop in the chat, if you haven't already, how people can plug into the campaign, sign up links, kind of a website, donate links, kind of all that information.
Yeah, drop my contact information, but I'll drop the website and the other links.
Awesome. And I can let people know that if people do want kind of literature, like campaign literature for Yes on 4, I do have some in my apartment. Shout out to Dalida for dropping it off. And I am happy to give some to you. I basically will continue to have large storage of Yes on 1 and Yes on 4 literature. And I'm happy to make it available for people. Ruth, is that a question? Oh, no. Okay, I think that's just something I thought was great. But again, Dalida, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.